Hello book nerds, welcome to Bookshelf Bunny. I'm Kim, and today we'll be doing a review of The Mummy, or Ramses the Damned by Anne Rice. Let's go ahead and get into our review. The Mummy. So this is sort of a unique take on your typical mummy horror. Instead of being truly horror, it's more of horror-esque genre. It touches on supernatural things. So this was one of the books that I read during my fall spooky books pile, TBR pile. And this pulls on several different themes. There's romance, there's a love triangle, there's a really unique mythology surrounding Ramses, king of Egypt, and his immortality. And I really enjoyed that mythology. I thought it was unique and fun. What else is there? There's your typical ancient Egyptian why is this word so hard to say? Archaeological? You know what I'm trying to say. I quit life. Not really. That whole dig-esque feel. There is also a lot of posh, glitz and glam and social posturing that made up the Edwardian period. This book takes place in 1914. So it starts off with Lawrence Stratford, Julie's father. Julie is one of our main characters. So Lawrence uncovers the find of the century in Egypt. He finds a mummy in a tomb, and the mummy appears to be Ramses the Great. However, the tomb is dated in the time of Cleopatra, which is hundreds of years after Ramses' time. So Lawrence is researching and looking and translating all of the various materials inside this tomb, including a set of papyrus journals where Ramses has recorded his story. So while he's translating, he comes to understand that Ramses is an immortal who, upon the death of Cleopatra, who he had been in love with, becomes depressed and lets himself die in the tomb. I get the impression that he was sealed in of his own orders. So Lawrence uncovers this fantastic find, but before he can do anything with it, he's murdered, of course, by his own nephew, some money-hungry, gambling problem, drunk kid. I don't like him. His name's Henry. He's a jerk. So anyway, the runes, the mummy, the alabaster jars, all of the coins, the entire exhibit is taken to Lawrence's home in London, where Julie lives, and is put on display, as is their family tradition whenever there's a big find, before the museum gets their hands on it. And it doesn't take long for Julie to uncover Ramses' secret. Ramses ends up fully regenerating himself, and pretty well instantly, Julie falls in love with him. And our story progresses. Ramses seeks out the past while frantically understanding the present, and we get a real interesting ride from there. It doesn't take long for us to have a love triangle between a newly revived Cleopatra, Julie, and Ramses, which is supernatural and fascinating. Again, I really enjoyed the mythology of this story. The potion that Ramses drinks from like an ancient priestess that he then kills, because that was ancient times. And it's more of a curse than a blessing. He becomes sort of like a superhuman. He's still a man, he's still a human, and he still has all of our normal, natural desires and wants and needs. But he can't really find satisfaction, it's short-lived. So he eats food and he's hungry again. So he eats large amounts, to give an example of his predicament. There's an aspect of this story where their sexuality is sort of in overdrive. So again, a human male with human male desires, times 10. But it's done in such a way that the story isn't about sex. It's just another way to show the lack of satisfaction that Ramses struggled against. So not your typical horror story, although it did have those supernatural elements. It had a lot of unique properties and a love triangle that turned into some pretty crazy action. If that sounds like fun, I would definitely recommend picking it up. I am a big fan of Anne Rice. I love her Interview with the Vampire series. I've also read a few other books of hers, and this one has similar tones, and I think that you'll enjoy it. Is anyone else here an Anne Rice fan? If so, I'd love to hear what your favorites are. Do you have any recommendations for me from her array of books that you think I might enjoy? I'd love to hear from you in the comments. All right, that's it from me, book nerds. As always, happy reading.